Being that it is 6:30 and we have a quorum, I will call the meeting for the Conservation Commission for November 6th open. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes from October 16th.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Moving second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Moved. We have no new public hearings, however, we have two continued ones. And first one on the agenda is for 2/6/10/14 Vitz Way, which I understand is asked for a continuance. We're waiting for what, 53G on that?
Yes.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion to continue the public hearing to November 20th.
Make the motion.
I'll second it.
Moving second, all those in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Next, we have 255 Pleasant Street.
Remember the last time I was here, this is for a new 15,000 square foot building. That's going to be a warehouse and office for a company called Ward Plasters in Rhode Island. Selling and distributing hardware at a wholesale level, not retail. We have to continue for last meeting because John found some errors on the drawing. Those have now been corrected, I think, for his satisfaction. So we're ready to move forward. The planning board has approved the project.
It has?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, John, any questions you may have?
John, you want to?
Sure. While you're looking over the plans, the major concern that I had was the water table determination there. And using all of the abutting lots, the two-family house at the intersection of the street just to the right side of this property as you're looking at it, across the street and so forth, the water table is roughly 30 inches below the ground. And I correlated that with the test pits that were taken on the site, and the engineer has designed the drainage system above that water table, so we don't have to worry about the chambers filling up with groundwater and not having any room for the drainage to get into it. So after finding some errors on the drainage elevations for the different structures, we got that all corrected, and the bill for finding all those errors will be sent to the engineer, and we should be able to collect some money on that. I'm only kidding. I'm only kidding.
I'll bring that to Bruce tomorrow morning. That sounds good.
So at this point, it's definitely approvable if the commission doesn't have any questions.
I have a couple. I don't see on the plan where any markers will be placed for the 50-foot.
The road in place, we have a 50-foot conservation easement, and there's a marker located at every 50 feet along the boundary with a little badge on it.
Okay. So those are existing?
Yeah.
Because
those are existing.
we can still put it in the order, and I could say if any are missing.
And the snow removal area looks really narrow next to the 50-foot buffer. Is that going to be enough room looking at plan page 2? I mean, it looks to be 5 feet.
Yep. So what?
It's all the way around, it's not just along the back, it's also on the side of the property too. It's on the sideline.
Okay, the snow, okay, I see it on the right-hand side.
So I think that's a good point, and what we should do is
On
have
both sides.
one of the conditions.
I'm
just
not
like-
too worried about the sides, it's the
Yeah.
one that says snow removal to the back, being pushed into the wetland buffers.
Or even into the basin there.
Mhm.
We don't want it in there. So what we did for Market Basket was put up signs, and no snow is to be dumped beyond the,
The point of the sign.
yeah. So they've honored that up there, and we will put that in the order of conditions for this one.
Okay. Those were the only things that I noticed. Anybody else have any other questions, comments? Hearing none, then I will entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded, all those in favor?
Aye.
So moved. And I will entertain a motion to issue an order of conditions.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded, all those in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Right. Next, we have 45 Crescent Streets for a certificate of compliance. So this is for septic upgrade?
Yes. This is 45 Senate?
Yep.
Okay. I inspected it today, and I also have reviewed all the documents submitted, as-built plan, and the request documents. And I recommend, and I have no issues, it's got good grass cover, so therefore I recommend that a certificate be issued without any bond.
When was that done?
Summertime.
Yeah, so I had plenty of time for it to grow and all that stuff.
It was done
In July, I think.
shortly after we issued the order, because they were in such a big hurry. So I believe that was, had to have been August.
August? Yeah. Looks like August, September.
Because he was like chomping on the bit to get started on it.
Mm.
So lucky for them, though, that they did that.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion to issue a certificate of compliance without a bond.
Make the motion.
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded, all those in favor? So moved. 22 Shaw Ave, another septic upgrade?
Yeah, same exact thing, and this one was started earlier, except they didn't realize they had some other things like the conservation easement to record, so they were catching up after they got started with the process. And so that's the same, it's got good grass growing out there. As the newer ones are gonna be coming in for certificates, we're gonna have to hold bonds, because I'm sure the growing season is starting to shrink a little bit, although with this kind of warm weather.
Well, it already frosted, so I don't think there's gonna be any growing now,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah. Once it gets
It's
cold,
done.
it's gonna go deep.
Away.
Yeah.
Yep, so we're gonna have to deal with that, and I spoke with an attorney today that called about 22 Shaw and asked his opinion as to what works best, whether it's good for them to hold back money and make us party to the release, or for us to hold the money and for them to hold whatever they think. And he said he'd get back to me after he confers with his partners in his law firm, so I haven't got a final answer on that, but we're protected either way. We just have to make sure if they're holding the money, that we're party to it, to say it's okay. But we're gonna be dealing with it as the months come up now.
Any other questions?
No.
I'll entertain a motion to issue a certificate of compliance without a bond.
No, make the motion.
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right. And it's basically just enforcement updates. And
Oh, just want to make a note that the DEP file numbers for the 2 Shaw and 45 Senate are the same, and one of them needs to be different, but Kitty's, I'm sure has the,
What?
I have the file
on
numbers.
John's report,
Oh,
22 Shaw needs to
Well,
be
I'm so glad it's
753.
your report and not mine.
Yeah. 753.
753. Thank you. And I know she's got it on her own form, correct, but I did not get it there.
Blame it on the computer.
153 Scotland Street update.
All right, been receiving some additional information about the flooding that occurs out there on a regular basis. And so I want to work with the abutter, actually on both sides, and find out if there's some joint effort that could be used to eliminate both of their flooding and have it flow to the back instead of ponding up on the both parcels. I haven't had a chance to meet with the neighbor, so I want to do that before we finalize anything, because if he's willing and the owner of 153 is willing to do something together, I think it's going to be the best for everybody all around. So I'll give you an update at the next meeting.
Start seeing it now from the highway.
Can you?
Now that the leaves are all going off the trees, and I can see, I went by a couple times today on the highway, and I'm looking. There's a lot of water out there.
I bet there
A
is.
lot of
More
water.
to come.
Those migratory ducks need a place to stop over.
Yeah, and
Maybe
polluting
we'll
them.
get one of those mandarin ducks like they have in Boston now. Just one little.
They're not mine, mine are still in their pen. Next we have 373 Crescent Street.
Yeah, so we received the site plan of how the existing conditions are with the existing tree lines. I went and took the historical aerial photo of the place before the current owner owns it, and was able to make a print of it. Of course, it's at a different scale, like it was a very small scale, 1 inch equals about 184 feet. So the idea was to try to get the two scales to match up. So using the copying machine, enlarging and so forth, I was able to then trace by using our very fancy light table we have in the commission's office.
It's called the south window.
So by putting it up, I could trace off where that line was from the aerial photo prior to the current owners working the site, and superimpose that right on the site plan. So I want the engineer that's working for him to put that line on the plan, show all the buffers, and then I'll go out to the site, check the wetlands, because they've been flagged by and located by the engineer, but was flagged by a reputable botanist. That's not to say we can't disagree over a few of the flags, but in general, it looks fairly accurate. And I think by the next meeting, we should have something to be able to sit down and discuss what we're gonna allow them to do outside the buffers and what we expect them to do in the areas that they already had activities without any permits. So we have two things going there, the stormwater disturbance issue, and then also the conservation wetland protection issues. And the rest of the site should be allowed to continue functioning as it used to, just that we need to control those areas that were encroached upon.
All right, 55 Crescent Street.
That, I'm still working on it, so I recommend to be on the next meeting.
Alrighty. And the Scotland Street model airplane license.
Yeah, I'll be forwarding that to the selectmen for their, and recommending that the commission is recommending them to sign it. And I didn't have an issue on here, but it came up today. The parcel of land that's at the corner of East Street and East Center Street is still up for discussion. So some additional information came to light today. That's a parcel around that apartment complex. The guy wanted to donate to the town, and it abuts the golf course. So there's a couple of things that have come up on it. We need to look into it a little bit more, and I'll give everybody a report at a later date on that one.
Could we take like so many feet from the street around the corner? Like say 50 feet all the way around the corner and that's it?
Oh, and not take the rest of it?
No, not take the rest of it?
We could ask him, but I think his whole intent is to get rid of
True, but
that part of
nobody
it.
can do
But
anything with it.
if we don't like his terms, then he
What's
keeps the land.
What's he gonna do with it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
right,
I mean, if he
exactly.
gets rid of a little bit of it, it's better than us taking out the whole thing.
Yep, so we can discuss that with
So
him.
that way in the future, like I said, if they have to do something with the road,
You have
he's
it.
still got 50 feet of it.
It's a good suggestion. We'll, got some other things to look into, but that'll be one of the things that we can discuss when we have him come in.
Anybody have anything else?
No.
There's no.
Mo's under the weather. He's come down with a cold. And
No.
I said it's probably a good idea not to share, so he stayed home. Nobody else has anything else, then I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Wow, this very erratic.
And we got you out of here nice and early.
Perfect, thank you.